Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Jolly Cove Book Club. I am one of your hosts, Sophie, and I'm here with Isabella and Sarah Grace. Wow, I just used your full names. I usually just say Isa and SG, but you know,
this is
I just felt like
very
going
big
full
day.
government name.
It's a huge day.
Full government name, Sophie Louise Stein.
Okay, wait, say your names because some people might be new and they might not know your voice yet.
Oh yeah, I'm Sarah Grace. That's my full government name, or most people just call me SG.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm Isabella. Most people call me Isa.
I love it. And how are we feeling tonight, ladies? Are we excited to talk about summer romance?
We're excited.
Could not be more ready if I wanted to be.
I'm so excited.
ready.
Okay, but first we have to do Jolly Drinks Corner. So tell me, ladies, what are we drinking tonight? Who wants to start?
Ladies, we're having a champagne summer according to, okay, how do you say the author's last name? Because I'm going to butcher it.
Monaghan. I believe it's a silent G.
According to Annabel Monaghan, we are having a champagne summer. Therefore, I have brought a fresh, crispy, bubbling glass of champagne.
Ooh.
Beautiful. That's a really good
Love
choice.
That.
Very
Always on theme.
Thank you.
Isa, what you got?
I have a little Olipop, but this is a special edition one. The Barbie Peaches and Cream.
Mm-hmm.
Available at Target now, apparently. It just tastes like the Peachos candy, but
peach rings, yes.
Like peach rings, yeah. I don't know. Just not that sugary, but I love it.
It's so good. I made myself a little grapefruit G&T. It's actually like grapefruit cucumber, kind of on accident, because the only tonic water I had was cucumber infused, but it's so good. Just gin, grapefruit, soda. It's the Italian grapefruit soda from Trader Joe's is what it is, and I'm obsessed with that. Even by itself, it's so good.
Love.
And then the little cucumber tonic water, and it's delish. I'm loving it. It's not very on theme. I feel like it's not the most summery book, but I knew that SG was going to show up on theme, so I didn't have to.
When it comes to a theme, I'm 100% there, and I'm 100% following through. I love 100%. A theme.
100.
She nails a theme. You actually, not to jump so far ahead, but you know the grandparents are like
yes,
Ethan and Franny's parents.
Yes,
you are them.
That's gonna be you.
Me and Wesley literally in like 30 years showing up in our throwing our
100%.
theme parties, all of that.
Everything is
a
theme. It's so cute. Okay, let's dive into Summer Romance by Annabel Monaghan. I'm dying to know your thoughts because we haven't talked at all about what we think about this book yet.
Locked lips on this one.
For real, we're saving it for this moment right now. So
okay, I'll start off. I did not dislike this book. I didn't love this book. I will probably never read it again. It was very average for me. I've been reading a lot of like romancy books as of late, and like I've read some of my favorite books this summer, so I'm like, it just kind of is like, it was all right. I didn't like obsess over it. I did like the characters. I think it was harder for me to be into the like character just because of like the age difference maybe. And then the book I read before this though was Just for the Summer, which is like one of my favorite books now. I love that book so much. So like for me, this was just like like cute. Next book.
Okay, I feel like you guys think I didn't like it, but I fully loved. You'll be happy to hear I fully loved.
Wow.
And you know what else you'll be happy to hear about? I shed tears.
What?
I literally one tear came down and I was like noting it down for you. I was like,
this is the best day of my life.
I was like, they're going to die knowing this information.
Gosh.
Did you guys read the author's note at the end?
Yeah.
Oh.
No.
I was unwell. That's when I was like sobbing. Like I was not good. I really enjoyed how they used the fact that she's a professional organizer and how her like the emotional clutter in her life. I just love that. Like I thought there was a lot of symbolism and like parallelism with like how a lot of times our external energy is so different than what is actually going on
happening
inside.
On the inside.
And I thought that was like a really good symbol for like Instagram and just like social media and everything in our lives that is very much a highlight reel. And I also felt like there was so many lessons. Like when I was going through thinking about like, okay, what's the moral of the story, whatever, like there was so many different things that I think the narrative touches on, whether it's like the complexities of motherhood and so, like friendship, our ties to like our home life. I don't know, like changes in our life. There's so many things.
This book felt so deep. Like it's obviously called Summer Romance, and it looks like it's just some silly little like fluffy book, like beach read, which it is, but at the same time it's like so much deeper than that and really like packed a lot of emotional depth to it. And like you said, so many lessons and like just beautiful writing. Like I was so blown away because I've read two of Annabel Monaghan's other books, Nora Goes Off Script and Same Time Next Summer. And I loved Nora Goes Off Script. I didn't love Same Time Next Summer. I feel like it was very like surface, which is funny because I felt like it was very surface level and like not very deep. Like maybe I was just in a weird mindset when I was reading it, or like who knows, but I didn't love it. So I was going into this being like, okay, we're going to see, because I loved one of her books. I really didn't like one of her books. And then this one, I absolutely loved it as well.
I just feel at first glance, it could be superficial. Like you said, like you could think it's just a beach read, like, which it kind of is, but then it's not, because there's so many layers.
There's so much more.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, and I love that it centers around a woman in her 40s, a divorced woman with grown kids, or like, you know, kids that are growing up. It just felt very real in the sense that like, okay, this is a real woman with like a real life and like issues to deal with and like trying to navigate around her children's emotions, and then also the grief of her mom. Like there was just so much going on, which I feel like added so much to the story and like more character development to her.
I feel like we learned so much from this lead versus I'm thinking about the leads of the other books, like Daphne or the other Daphne, like the 50 Daphnes. I just feel like this, because of exactly what you said, like she's going through a divorce, she's in her 40s, she's a mom. Like we don't get a lead that has that many layers all the time. So I felt like I was like, even though I couldn't relate to a lot of it, like I felt like I was learning a lot throughout reading, and it was very interesting. It was like she has this like wisdom to her that makes you feel like at the end of the book, like you learn something from it. And I feel like I'm like, it makes you feel like, okay, I'm taking something away from this that makes me feel more prepared about the realistic view of like what motherhood is and these things. Yeah. So that's what I liked about it.
I feel like I might have had a little bit of a bias going into this because I really wanted to love this book, because I went to an author event with Annabel Monaghan. She did like a little talk at Oxford Exchange. She did like a big Q&A and stuff, and she's just like the sweetest, like funniest, most bubbly lady. And I was like, I like freaking love her. She's so cool. So that like made me really want to like the book, because obviously it's her book. And she did say that this is her most personal book that she's ever written. Like it's very, like the relationship with her mother was kind of mirrored off of her own, and like the grief and all that, because she's lost her mother, I think 10 years ago or something. And so she put a lot of that into the book, and I just thought that was really beautiful. But yeah, I love Annabel.
I want to read more from her, because I was like, there's so much thought put into this. I need to read more.
Okay. Do we want to move on to our dream casting?
100.
Do we want to say our Allie first, all three of us, and then our Ethan after? Or do we want to say our Allie and our Ethan?
I think we should say it together, like a couple, so we can imagine it in our head, like the vision.
My Ethan was someone who was like, had a very playful spirit to them. So I thought of someone like a John Krasinski, almost like someone who's gentle. I know he doesn't have golden hair, and I know they talked about that this guy was very golden. But
I'm all about the vibe and like the feeling of a person versus like the actual look for
100%.
Because half the time they put wigs on, like, or dye their hair, right?
Yeah. For my actress, I was honestly thinking of like Amy Adams.
Cute.
Because she's like in her late 30s, early 40s now, so I think she would be a good pair.
I like that.
Also, I feel like she would play well someone who's like fallen like out of herself and then would have like a glow up by the end, you know?
Yeah. That's really good. Issa, do you want to go? I'm like not obsessed with my casting.
Okay, I'll go. So get ready. Drum roll, please.
I'm excited.
Okay, so for the girl, I put Joe Wilson from Grey's Anatomy.
I have to Google.
So Dr. Joe, Camila Luddington.
Yeah.
She's British actress, but we know that she can do a U.S. accent.
Yeah.
I'm not concerned.
Oh, cute.
She's in the age range.
I'm going to show for YouTube.
Love.
Yep.
Yes. My Ethan was Chris Pratt. Because I had that same energy you were saying.
Yeah.
That it needs to be like
very
playful, silly, like, but also older. So Chris Pratt was giving skateboarder dude.
I love that.
100%. Scooter.
Right? I can see it.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us.
For Allie, I have Leighton Meester. Like Blair from Gossip Girl.
No, that's so
because now
good.
she is, I think she's like 37,
love that.
35, 37, something like that. She's kind of fits the age range. Yeah. And I just think she would do a good job. I have Glenn Powell for Ethan. I feel like he just has a skater boy look. Like tall, lanky. I feel like skater boys are always skinny. And to me, he just feels like a skinny guy. You guys don't agree? And he's like a goofball.
He's giving
a goof.
Hottie.
Is he not a goofball? I've only seen him in Anyone But You. That's the only thing I've seen him in. And I'm like,
I feel like he's Mr. Perfect,
Twister.
though.
Yeah,
you gotta see Twister.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What is he doing in Twister?
He's like a cowboy.
A lot.
The most.
The most. He's in Oklahoma. It's a lot.
Crying. I have a hot take that like I don't think Glenn Powell's that cute.
It's like giving too perfect. That's my.
I don't think he's. My thing is I don't think he's that cute. So that's why I'm like.
I was shocked, honey. I was in tears almost.
That is not attractive to me.
Okay, well,
you also picture like that photo.
What?
Does he have a mullet? Like, why would you pick that?
He just has like a little pea head, and I feel like that just like throws everything off.
I feel a lot of different things right now. What?
Like I said, I'm not obsessed with my casting choices. These are the people that came to mind that are in their 30s. Okay, moving on.
Okay.
Should we move on to our book club discussion questions?
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay. Allie finds organizing to be a deeply peaceful activity. Do you feel similarly about organizing? Is there some other activity that brings you a sense of peace?
I don't really feel that way about organizing, but I love reading. To me, brings that same peace.
Aw, I love
that.
And
also doing watercolor or like flower arranging brings me a lot of peace. Sitting by the water brings me peace. But like if you were like you have to organize someone's space, I'd be like, I'm gonna throw up. Like that feels so high pressure, high stakes. Like did not relate.
I kind of feel the opposite in a weird way. Like watercoloring and stuff, and that's definitely a personal problem with me because like I feel like organizing to me brings me so much joy and peace. And not that I'm that amazing at it or like do it all the time, but like it's so fulfilling and like you feel so amazing after like finally tackling like the junk drawer that needs to be organized. And like then when you open it, it's like seriously such a high. I'm like, what's that the TikTok sound? Why does anybody ever do drugs? Like that was such a high.
That's Grey's Anatomy.
So I
love.
That's funny.
I didn't know that was from Grey's. That's amazing.
Yes.
I just know it from TikTok. Yeah, anytime I like open my fridge after I've just like organized my fridge, I'm like, this is heaven. If I'm sitting in watercoloring, back of my mind is like, I'm wasting, like, this is bad. I'm wasting time. I should be doing a million other things that are like gonna produce something. Especially because I'm not super artistic and like, I know it's gonna look like a piece of crap when I finish my painting.
No, for me, the watercoloring, like, I enjoy it. The same as like I had a pottery class in high school that I adored. It was like the best time, but it's not that it was like relaxing because I feel like I'm a perfectionist. So I was like, no, this is a vase that's going to go in my house or that I'm gifting to my mom and it needs to be incredible. And if I mess this up, like, so it was like, I'm sitting there like this, like it just wasn't, I enjoyed it thoroughly, but I wouldn't say it was like a relaxing time. It was more of just like a focused productivity block.
Yeah. And if I'm like on a vacation and there's nothing else to do, but like your plan is to just do relaxing things, I'm obsessed. But like building it into my day, like nothing would make me more stressed.
Yeah, I don't know. I think for me, because I am like more of a creative spirit, more of like a free spirit, very much a 7 on the Enneagram. Like anytime I have the ability to unleash my creative side, I very much feel so at peace.
For me, I think any activity with animals is that like relaxation. Aww. So if it's like I'm horseback riding, or when I go to the shelter to just like walk dogs and spend time with them, like when I'm sitting there on the bench just like petting the dogs for their 5 minutes or however long they get, like I feel like I'm so disconnected from the world. It's really nice because I feel like in those moments I'm so present, and I make it a thing to like not be on my phone. Same when I ride, I like leave my phone. I love it. I find it even like when I snorkel, which is like so random.
Yes. Oh
but
my
when
gosh,
I go snorkeling, it's
water.
like such a disconnect because I don't have my phone. I'm just like looking at the turtles, looking at the coral.
In the flow.
Like
You're like in a flow state.
In the flow.
Yeah.
I can spend hours out there without a watch, not knowing like what's going on. So yeah, I was thinking about that question earlier. I was like, really, any time that I'm in nature with animals, like it's like a spiritual therapeutic thing. I love it.
That is so good. I would agree about like anytime I'm in the water, snorkeling, that's such a good one. Anytime I'm on a boat. Also like when I'm journaling, that's another time where I'm just like pure peace and quietness in my soul. I love it.
I like that question. That's a good question because I feel like everybody has their thing. They're like, that makes them, the thing that makes you zen out. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting to hear for other people, because when you're trying to figure it out for yourself, like you look at other people doing all these cool things and you're like, what's my thing? So I think once you figure that out, it's like very helpful to like bring some peace and balance to your life.
Yeah. How do we feel about Ethan/Scooter as our leading man?
I'm obsessed. No, you guys. The falling in love with your divorce attorney trope or whatever this was. It was giving Charlotte from Sex and the City.
Oh
like
my
I know
gosh,
he wasn't
Yes.
I know he wasn't actually the divorce attorney. He was like kind of pretending to be a divorce attorney because he had some like law. But whatever it was, I was obsessed.
Yeah.
It just like he was so angry at her husband and how like horrible he was to her.
Yeah.
That protective energy, obsessed.
Yeah.
I think the fact that he dressed up for all the like lawyer stuff he did, like it just like he truly wanted to make Pete feel like he was incompetent so that he could do better at the job.
Yeah.
I just love that. I think he was so well developed, and in the past, like we haven't had a super well developed like male lead. So I like that they had this whole piece to him, but also adding the whole twist that he's a skateboarder, and that just like makes it so strange because you're like, I don't understand like where they pulled the skateboard piece out of, but it totally makes sense because like skateboarders are so like peace, love vibes, and she didn't have that, and she needed that. And so the fact that he has like this whole like zen spiritual like outlet, and him like bringing her into that, I thought was so interesting, like added a lot to the whole love story. I was obsessed.
So good. I agree.
I want to tell you my Swiftie song now because I want to talk, like relates to this. Go for it.
Yeah, tell us.
Okay, so my Swiftie song for this was Daylight from Lover. Sweet.
That's a
she
good
first
one.
of all kept talking about him, having the golden glow, talking about been sleeping so long in a 20-year dark night. Now I see the daylight. I only see daylight. It just like to me felt so perfect. I once believed love would be black and white, but it's golden. Like literally the lyrics could not be more perfect for him. I
have a daylight sweatshirt and I should have worn it instead of this one. I have one with like the daylight lyrics.
Issa is wearing a Swiftie merch sweater if you guys aren't watching on YouTube.
I love that. But to me, this felt like the light at the end of a tunnel of like, he helped her wake up from her sleep. He helped her discover herself. And I think like we can all agree when you're with the right partner, they make you the best version of yourself, you know, like,
yeah.
And I thought it was so beautiful. It almost felt like a second coming of age, you know. It's like she was coming of age for the second time, and it also mirrored her daughter's own coming of age. So I think that was such a beautiful comparison. But he and his thoughtfulness and his just like overall precious. Oh, the end of the book made me really sad. It made me miss living close to my family so much when they were talking about when his family was coming, they were tearing down the fence, and it was like, oh, the more seats at the table, the merrier. I literally texted Wesley as soon as I finished. I was like, oh, I'm really sad. I miss being with my family, because he is so family oriented, you know, like he's truly Pijam, golden retriever, perfection. He is daylight.
Yeah. Agreed. I feel like he was seriously a perfect leading man. Like,
agreed.
Pretty much no complaints. The only thing I would say, which is like probably a personal problem. Let me know. Did it cringe you guys out at all? The fact that he was obsessed with her since she was 14? Because that to me was just like, it just got brought up so many times and I was kind of like getting the ick just a little bit. Throughout the book, I wasn't thinking about that. But like every time he brought it up, like, oh, I wanted this since I was 14. I'm like, ew.
I feel like a little bit.
It was giving unrealistic. That for me was my biggest issue.
I don't think it's unrealistic because I feel like sometimes in those situations, like there's always like someone likes someone and it's like unrequited. The other person doesn't like them back. Like I feel like that happens in high school. What I thought was like weird is that she did not even like, there was like not one drop of her recognizing him. I thought that was strange. I don't know. Maybe I went to a small school, and we fought like, was it in present day? Like there's social media. Like
yeah, true.
Right? I thought that was strange.
Well, obviously they switched his name from Scooter to Ethan, so that would have like not rung any bells for her because she only knew him as Scooter. But if this was like one of her
best friends too,
it wasn't her best friend in high school. Because I was thinking the same thing. Like that's weird, but she said that they did not get close until they like were out of college and moved. She moved back to Beechwood when she like already had kids and stuff.
And then him not telling her, it was kind of also like, oh, wait, what? But for me, it was more so like, okay, if you literally were thinking about this girl like that whole time, like, why did you not go after her? You know, like, I don't know. To me, it was like, it felt like, really?
I feel like most people, when you have a crush in high school and like it didn't pan out in high school, then everyone goes off to college or wherever you end up going and then you move away and then your life continues. And I think most people like think about high school, their fond memories, and they'll think about like that person, but I don't, like you're so much removed from the situation that you're not like thinking about like, should I call them? That would be weird. Like I feel like if you receive a call, like a text from someone from high school that you legit haven't spoken to forever, that like had a crush on you, like you don't, and that's a risk. Like that's a risk, I think. Like it's a little spooky.
She did get the ick when as soon as she found out who he was. She was like, ew, you're Scooter? Like, no thanks. But then she was like, wait, this is Scooter 2.0. And then she kind of got on board.
Yeah. You're right. I'm glad you brought that up. It was icky a little bit. And you know, when they first met, there was a quote or something. I don't remember it exactly, but there was a quote about like, he looked at me as like back how the boys looked at me when I was young. Like there was a comment about that. And then I remembered and I was like, oh, that like is very interesting because that was like kind of an Easter egg. That I didn't realize till the end of the book. I was like, oh, because he was looking at her the way that the boys looked at her when she was young, because he was one of those boys.
That's a really good catch. I did not even catch that, but you're so right. That's good writing. Over the course of the novel, Allie's understanding of her relationship with her mother changes as she helps her 12-year-old daughter through a difficult time. What do you think of how Fancy helped Allie throughout her marriage?
I thought it was so toxic. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I agree. She wasn't doing it in like there were no bad intentions. It was like only she wanted the best for her daughter, but it was just like over the top coddling.
I think that in her head she needed him more than she needed to be herself. And I don't know. I thought it was kind of toxic.
It was rough because you could see that it came from like she had all the positive intent in the world, but because she kept like intervening in her life, like it was almost preventing her from confronting like, the reality that was her life. And then you see how that bred all this resentment. And so like, and I think I found a parallel with that relationship to how Ethan, his whole like community around him called him Scooter, and the whole story behind why he was called Scooter was because he like scooted as a child. And it's like, he's literally 40, like grow up. Why are we still calling him Scooter? This is like, and it's almost like, I felt like they were trying to, or like she in the writing was trying to show that like sometimes without intending to, like we can keep other people stuck in the past, whether it's like we're coddling someone or we're calling them names or we're like, it can make it really challenging for someone to grow and progress.
I agree. I wish that he was more like communicative with his family about how they were making him feel. Like, just tell them. It felt like he wasn't like, he just like let them do their thing.
Being honest with them. Yeah. So if like my family had a nickname they were calling me and I didn't like it, I'd be like, hey, like that really, like I'm grown up, like please stop.
I was gonna mention with like this family and relationships theme that we're on, they talked about her relationship with the dad, right?
Yes.
And with her dad. And I thought that was such a like beautiful part of the story, like very brief, barely said like anything about it. But what they did say, what she did right, I think was profound, like powerful. Because I think it's difficult to capture a relationship like that with a father and a daughter. And I think a lot of people relate to that, but it's like hard to put it into words of what that feels like. And she like did it beautifully. Like I thought it was very interesting when she talked about like, it's almost like we're reading parts of a play, but we've never like felt them, but we read them. And I was like, that's like, it was like, I was like stunning, beautiful, gorgeous, like everything she wrote there.
The way that she puts like emotions into writing was crazy to me. Like she really encapsulated like it's just such real feelings. All right, moving right along. Allie's summer is full of transitions, letting go and making room for the unexpected. In what ways does Allie change from the start of the book to the end of the book? I feel like she was a whole new person at the end of the book, like brand new. In the best way.
She really has like an internal glow up. Like she is.
That's a good way to put it.
I think at the beginning she's battling like this invisibility thing that I think is not talked about too much, I guess, in media and things like that, about like you were talking about, Sophie, with like women in their 40s, 50s, like you just are not seen, I think are not seen in the same way, obviously, as when you're young. And I think a lot of times we don't get books with an older lead, so we don't hear about these struggles as much, and they're not highlighted in the media because people want to know about like the young and trendy girls. And so I think like she was really battling by the end of the book. Like she's like feeling herself, she's back, she's glowing from the inside out. And I think that's not only because like she has like this man in her life that is like making her like see her value, but I think she is like learning how to cope with her own emotions. And like she sees that, I don't know, I think she sees life in a very different way now that she's out of this toxic situation, and she like finds her own voice.
I agree, and I want to echo what she said about that. She definitely, like, the man helped, like Ethan being there helped her see that, but I think at the end of the day, like, she came into her own as her own person and like wanting to be a better mom for her kids. And I'm so happy that it was her daughter that had that conversation with her as opposed to Ethan, because like I know it's a romance book and like obviously they're gonna wind up like falling in love happily ever after at the end, and like we love that for them. But I think the fact that she was able to come into herself, because her identity had been shaped by a man for so long, that for once her identity was being shaped by like her. And I thought that that was really powerful. And like her wanting to take a job at the end, like, I don't know. I was like, heck yeah, girl power.
There was a quote at some point that I wrote down because I was like, this is just encapsulates like her journey. And it says, I have the sense that I am a limb that went numb and I'm starting to tingle again. That was like at her beginning. Actually, it must have been like middle of the book because she was just finally like waking up to herself and like feeling like a woman again and like someone who is worthy of like, you know, just being a woman in the world and dating again and like just becoming herself. which I thought was so beautiful.
I think that's really like the soul of the book is like her finding her voice and like also finding it in the midst of realizing that like sometimes there's dreams that we release and there's sacrifices we make as like we become mothers, wives, etc. And like sometimes I think when women release those things and you're getting older and then those things don't pan out, like the relationship or or even like your kids go away to college and you're like, who am I? Like, what do I have left? And I like reading about a story that kind of put that into perspective was really interesting. I think that was like the heart of it, was her finding herself after like releasing so many things for other people.
Yeah. And I think that's why this book was just so like deep and meaningful, because it wasn't just a little summer romance. It was more of like a journey about this woman like finding herself again.
Gorgeous. You tied it up with a bow.
Gorgeous. You really said it all. I didn't really need to. Okay. Should we try to do like rapid fire for the final standard questions?
Yeah.
There's 5 more questions. We'll just like rapid fire them, okay?
Perfect.
To the best of our ability. This is one of my favorite questions that we do, and we haven't done it in a while because I feel like the books haven't really called for it necessarily. But what was our most swoon-worthy moment of this book?
My most swoon-worthy moment was when they were at the skate park and she got to see kind of his life, and she found out that, you know, he had a close relationship with like an elderly neighbor as well. I just love that. I thought it gave such an insight into like who he is, and like I really feel like that was like the turning point of them like falling in love. So I thought that was so sweet. And then whenever he met Mrs. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna forget her name.
Phyllis.
Her name, Phyllis. When he met Phyllis, that was just like so swoon, so sweet, so precious.
Cute. The ending with the final, well, not the final, the beginning of the charm bracelet, that gap with him filling it with the heart. I thought that was so sweet and thoughtful. And the way that she wrote it, that she was like, her understanding of this milestone of like being with the love of your life had previously been associated to the charm with the dress. And that now in her 40s, like she's realizing that like she never thought she would get another heart, like a love romance associated charm.
Yeah.
And that the fact that she got a heart, and she realized like, oh, this is not like, I'm not at the end of my charms. Like I still have a gap. I'm going to get more charms. Like, she thought, like, I think in that moment as the reader, you realize like she thought when she got married, like her life was over basically. And then that was it. And that was the end. And there's not going to be any more milestones. So it was like such a sweet moment to see that she got that
so
charm.
Beautiful. My biggest swoon moment is kind of basic, just like their first kiss scene where they're in the pool. It just genuinely gave me butterflies, which I haven't felt from a book in a really long time. Like I genuinely felt like those like giddy feelings of like you have like this huge crush on this person and like it's kind of forbidden and you're kind of sneaking around. Okay, next question is, who was our favorite characters?
Phyllis was my favorite.
Same. I put Phyllis too.
I guess Phyllis.
Agreed. Even though she literally low-key dies at the end, it wasn't even
I think I cried at that point.
Oh, really? I was going to say I wasn't emotional about it at all. I don't know why. I just felt like it was like, it made sense and it was sweet. And...
definitely.
Okay, do we have a favorite scene?
The end. Like the end. The heart charm, I feel like, was the most special thing.
Yeah.
And when you find out like they're going to be together forever, even though it's not an engagement ring, we love.
Yeah. Very satisfying.
I loved the imagery of her on the kayak whenever she was kayaking by herself and like looking at picturesque like beachwood, and she was talking about like all of that. I thought that was really beautiful. I love that.
My favorite scene was when she finally like organized her house. I was like, get it, girl. Like this is so satisfying to me. I was like, please. And I was getting so motivated. I'm like, I need to do a full clear out this weekend. I just feel like that was really satisfying. Okay, do we have a favorite quote from this book?
Yes, I have a couple. So, favorite quotes. I have 3. This is the first one. I can feel the fury of a million mothers inside me, and I want to roar my fiery mother breath on anyone who might steal a moment of my daughter's happiness. I know I need to let her wade through this, But the truth is, if I could step in, I would. If I could prevent her from ever suffering another loss and growing from it, I might. And it's in this moment that I understood my mother's love for me. I can still feel the intensity of that love and the way she walked into my home, bright as the sun, and blinded me to all the shadows. How lucky I was to be loved like that.
No, I'm going to cry right now. I didn't expect to get misty-eyed.
It was too much.
We're sobbing.
Okay, the next quote, we're fine. The next quote, so many cakes in a lifetime, I think. And also, there are never enough cakes. That just puts everything into perspective. I read that and I was just like, sometimes we go through the motions of things. And you're just like, oh, we just get a birthday cake. We just get this. I'll just get a card for my friend. And it's like, no, this is so special to be able to get a card for your friend because you don't know how many cards you're going to get.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the last one. It's because that's what life is. Joy peppered by loss. It's why you get a dog. And then you get another dog. Madness repeating itself just to get another taste of joy.
Yeah.
I loved that one. You can't just keep doing what you're doing and wait for it to turn into something happy. You kind of have to look for the happy things along the way.
So good. Okay, it is time to rate this book out of 5 stars, and then we'll calculate our average rating. What did we rate this book, ladies?
I gave it a 4-star on Goodreads, but I would probably do honestly 3.75.
I want to say 4.5.
I'm also going to go 4.5. Yeah. It just feels right.
It feels right.
There is a chance that this book could have been a 5 for me, but I started reading it like a month ago, like way before that we kind of decided that it was going to be a Jolly Cove pick. So then I was in the middle of it and I paused it because I wanted it to be more fresh in my mind. So I stopped halfway through, paused for like 2 to 3 weeks, and then picked it back up the last couple days. And so that like breaking it up, I feel like kind of lost my momentum and my vibes. If I had read it all in like 1 week, I probably would have been 5 stars. But
I think for me, the reason I knocked off the half the point was because I felt like the aspect that it was like summary romance, like certain things didn't play out fully. And if it would have been like a more in-depth novel and they played out fully, I would have given it the 5. For example, the father-daughter relationship, or like if they would have wrapped it up a little bit more, like it felt like at the end they were like, okay, let's roll it up.
Slightly rushed.
There was, like there was a couple things here and there that was like, oh, I wish we knew more about this. Like that's why, but it was really good.
Agreed. Yeah, so good. Okay, that wraps up this episode. I just need to announce the next book that we're doing, which is kind of a spontaneous decision, and I'm really excited. We have a bonus book club episode. It's kind of like a mini book club episode plus end of summer reading wrap up / just like catching up with the girlies, just talking all things bookish and end of summer vibes, saying goodbye to summer before we dive into our fall cozy autumn
spooky season
and vibes, which I'm so excited about. I'm so ready for it. But the next book is Broken French. Read it or don't read it. It's a spicy book. Be warned.
The spiciest book I've ever read.
Yeah, it was
don't
pretty
read it
intense.
in the parking lot of your work with the volume on too high.
No.
Headphones only. I'm excited to talk about that very soon. We're all like busting at the seams because we all recently finished it and like we're holding our thoughts. We love you guys and we will see you in the next one.
Bye.
Love you, mean it. Mwah.
Mwah.